Okay, the practice of noting, as I understand it, involves thought vocalizing in language the noted phenomenon. Is there also a noting without vocalizing the phenomenon in thought, or is the thought vocalization intrinsic to the practice? Asked another way, if one observes the phenomenon but bypasses the mental enunciation in language of what is observed, does that qualify as noting? I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding about the practice. I mean, or of about what's going on in your mind at all times. I mean, when you don't practice, what's going on in your mind? Are you able to stop thinking for a minute, say? And if you were able to stop thinking for a minute, would it be possible for you to give rise to wisdom, for example? So thinking is an intrinsic part of our mental activity. We're always thinking. The practice of meditation isn't the creation of a verbal word. You're not verbalizing anything. You're thinking. But the thought is a clear thought. The thought is a one-to-one correlation with reality. When you see something, it's not me, it's not mine, it's not all of the other things that you might think of it. It's just seeing. I don't want to sound harsh, but I don't have a lot of sympathy for this sort of question. I know there's a lot of people, even a lot of very strong meditators, who ask this question or who give the answer that you're better off to not use the noting. And that's fine. I mean, different interpretations and different practices are fine. I can see you could become enlightened without practicing our way. For sure, there are different ways of practice. But the reason I think it's not such a useful question is that, I mean, and I don't mean to sound harsh, because obviously you're not the only person to ask this question. This isn't the first, by any means, time that I've been asked this question. Is that when you practice it, to me, it's a bit, well, it's obvious the benefit of the noting. And I suppose what happens is that, based on people's natural inclination to doubt things, and natural inclination away from a one-to-one relationship to reality, and a natural inclination to proliferate. As soon as you start doing this one-to-one stuff, the mind revolts. The mind rejects it, because it's not natural. This is what people say. But think about what is natural. Natural is following your defilements. Natural is thinking, this is me, this is mine, this is I am practicing, I am noting, I am walking, I am sitting. It's the belief that there's an entity, my stomach is moving, my back is straight, maybe there's a pain in the back, I have to adjust my back, and so on. It's all I, me, mine, mine. If you were here yesterday, you maybe got a little bit of an earful of what the Orthodox Buddhist interpretation of all of this is, like of the Satipatthana Sutta. But it's such a very simple interpretation. It's nothing dogmatic or anything. It's that all of these things are non-self. There is no person doing these things. And the commentary is very clear that dogs know when they're moving, it says. But dogs know with views and with delusion, with heavy, heavy delusion. The knowing that we're trying to give rise to is a very specific type of knowing. If you were there earlier at our Satipatthana Sutta study sessions, you would know how I explain the words that the Buddha used, like patisatimatta, which means for patisatimataya, for the purpose of just knowing the object as it is, or of remembering the object as it is. So the sati, the mindfulness that we're trying to get, is a one-to-one relationship. You don't have this in your natural state. The natural state of observation doesn't contain this. Isn't comprised of this one-to-one relationship. Even though you say, yes, I know it as walking, I know it as sitting, you know much more than that as well. You have the inclination to view it as you, as yours, and so on. And as a result, what you wind up with is a state of tranquility or calm that you identify with. You wind up in a very good place, and you become attached to it, and you think this is the real self, the true self, the eternal, the permanent self, and you can wind up in the Brahma worlds. I mean, you have to think that just because you're a powerful, strong meditator who's doing great meditation and getting somewhere, doesn't mean that you're going to become enlightened. Brahma is not enlightened. There are meditations that lead you to become a Brahma, and that's not a simple thing to do. It's not easy to become a Brahma by any means, a god. No, you can practice meditation to become God. But from Buddhist point of view, the God is not enlightened. So I think people get the idea that they're able to meditate without this one-to-one relationship, without training their minds, without developing their minds, or fixing the interaction that we have with reality. So and this is my take. Obviously, there are many people who fiercely disagree with me, and that's fine. But the answer that I would give to this question is that no, if it doesn't qualify for the meditation as I practice it, and I don't understand that there would be any reason to stop using the noting. The reason why people stop it is, from my understanding, because it seems unnatural, and because it goes against what their natural inclination is. And that's the point, really. That's why we're doing it, because our intention is to change our natural inclination, to be one that sees things just as they are. And that takes a lot of work. It takes more work than I think most people are aware of. And that's the real problem. We think that it should be... Well, we think it should be difficult, but we don't realize exactly how difficult. And we think we're going to learn new things, but we don't realize exactly how new. We think we're going to be challenged, but we don't realize what a challenge is going to be. Any expectations you have of what the meditation is going to be and is going to bring you should be shattered. So even when you think, wow, I'm going to learn something new, you're going to be shocked when you learn the truth. It should go beyond what your expectations are. So it's not an easy thing for us to understand, which is why in many ways we have to be willing to go with the technique for some time before we make some judgment. And I think if you do that, you'll see that this technique is, well, from my perspective, it's a perfectly valid technique that leads people to come to see the truth and to understand things as they are. I hope that helps.